Welcome to my channel, Ken here. Today let's take a look at the Rupert Neve Designs RNHP Precision Headphone Amplifier. Let's go! Please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below. Click the affiliate links below if you should choose to buy this. It'll help my channel at no cost to you. Here we have the RNHP by Rupert Neve Designs. This is that dedicated headphone amplifier, and it's very simple really. It has the 1/4 inch output for the headphones, 3 input selectors, and a volume control on the front. On the back it has these multi-input plugs, so you can take both TRS and XLR on input A, and on input B it's phonos, and then you have number 3 here, which is basically an 1/8 inch. There's a power switch on off here and an input for the power supply. The power supply is a 24 volt wall wart type unit. It basically, you snap off the connector that you want, and it's universal in the world, and it is supplied with the unit. As far as the specifications are concerned, I mean, you can look this up on the website, but I mean, there's not much to talk about really, other than to say that it has 0.25 amp power supply with 24 volt, so basically takes 6 watts at a minimum. They say that it has near zero output impedance, and it did not have problems driving low impedance headphones. I think the lowest I have is like 13 or 14 ohm headphones, and it did drive them quite loud. It has this on the bottom here, it has a VESA mount, you know, the kind you use for computer monitors. So you can use a computer monitor stand, for example, or a VESA mount on a, I don't know, mic stand or something, so it can be moved into a position that you need. Let's say you want to use it for dubbing, let's say, or if you don't have desktop space, you have an alternative to mount it in your studio, which is nice. Even though the manufacturer sent this product to me, the thoughts and opinions are mine alone. At these 6 watts minimum will give you is, at 16 ohms, it's 230 milliwatts, and 44 ohms, it's 300 milliwatts output, it says. As far as headphones are concerned, the ones I tried it on was the Neumann NDH 30, the Austrian Audio, the Composer, Audeze LCD5 and LCD-Xs, focal lenses, head 2s, Fostex 50 RP Mark 4s, and the One Dio Studio Max Pro. And actually drove them all fine, but as I'll get into later, it does have a preference for what works and what doesn't work, ideally with this headphone amp, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I found this headphone amp very interesting. It has some qualities that I really liked, and to start off with, I'll have to say that it is basically an entry level into high-end audio. So at $600, I think it's a very good value. I'll say that right away, because it does exhibit a lot of the high-end qualities that I got accustomed to testing all these high-end amplifiers. And it is way cheaper. So I did compare it to a bunch of different other headphone amplifiers, like the Chord Alto, the Ferrum Or, and also the Austrian Audio, the Score 1, Cranbourne, and Lynx audio interfaces. And here's where I think the most telling part was in the entire review process, was that compared to the built-in headphone amplifiers in the Cranbourne and the Lynx, it is definitely a step up in sound quality. But does it compare to 5 times more expensive headphone amplifiers? I don't think so. First and foremost, let me describe the sound of this unit. It is detailed in the bass, and it's full sounding. It has clean, clear, and full mid-range, silky highs. It does exhibit a decent left to right stereo perspective. This is where I think that it falls a little bit short compared to way more expensive is it really depends on the headphones that you're using. This amp has a preference for headphones, and that would be dynamic headphones. The planar magnetic, it did struggle a little bit with it. You can hear that the dynamics weren't as transient and as fast and as wide. We're talking about dynamics here compared to more expensive headphone amps with planar dynamics. Now with dynamic headphones, I really like them on the Austrian audio, the Composer, and the Neumann NDH 30. Also the focal lenses, they all sounded really good on this headphone amp. In order to get the most out of this, don't give them headphones that are difficult to drive, because you're going to lose some dynamics and some loudness for sure. But if you use the right kind of headphones with this, which would be the dynamic ones I just mentioned, it comes to life. So I like that sound a lot, actually. It does have a little bit of an emphasis in the lower treble, upper mids, and the S's on vocals were a little more pronounced than neutral. Of course, the width and the height of the soundstage can't compare to the best headphone amps I've heard, but it is well a step up from its class where it's priced. And I have to say, this is probably the best headphone amp I've heard under $1,000. But there are compromises here, and at this price point, it's to be expected. One of the things that I do think needs to be mentioned here is the build. Although it feels solid and it does have some heft to it, I'm not crazy about this design, with these protruding edges like this. It is folded steel over like this. It's not my favorite thing, although I do like the Rupert Neve knobs. They're solid. These feel a little flimsy buttons, but at this price point there has to be some compromises, and the build quality it's good, but it's not excellent. But if you can live with that, that's fine. The other thing is this power supply here. It's a wall wart. And I'm suspecting that this is probably the bottleneck in the design. 24 volt, I'm sure if you had a better power supply, that dynamic thing would probably improve quite a bit. But I had no way of testing it. I didn't want to take a chance of using a power supply that wasn't supplied with the unit. So I'm just commenting on it as it is right now. If you improve the power supply, it would probably be a big step up, especially in speed and transients, maybe even the stage width. Another thing I found a little strange about this unit, and I'm not sure if it's the unit or if the preamp I used, which was the Ferrum Wandler, well, one of the preamps I used. So when you switch from the XLR inputs to the RCA, there was a jump in volume. Actually, the RCAs were louder, and found that a little odd. Just want to mention that. It has no bearing on anything really. This unit also has a little bit slightly dry and forward sounds. If you look at a concert seating in a concert hall, this would be towards the stage, if you can use that analogy. My recommendation with this is you have to try it with the headphones that you want to use it with. It's very important to pick the right headphones with this one, to me anyway. I would pick a good or to excellent pair of dynamic headphones, such as the Neumann NDH 30 or the Austrian audio, the Composer, because it really showcased what this amp was capable of. And I like the sound of this thing. If you want to step up from your audio interface or just the built-in headphones that you have somewhere that you use, this would definitely be a step up. And it also is the best headphone amp I've heard under $1,000. I do recommend this thing highly. It's a very good unit, and it's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell button, and until next time, take care.